Welcome to the BNI Knox Podcast, helping members in the Knoxville, Tennessee region grow their business and make more money through the power of referrals. Now, here's your host, Andy Brassfield.
Welcome to the BNI Knox Podcast, number 15, episode number 15. I'm Andy Brassfield with BNI, and I have Curtis Johnston with me again today.
Yes, sir.
Johnston.
S-T-O-N.
I said it, but it was too quick. So I wanted to make sure we catch that. Thanks for being with me again today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. I noticed you didn't bother changing clothes.
No, I didn't. I didn't have a whole lot of time between episodes.
I didn't, yeah. So let's go. Abundance versus scarcity. Before we get into our topic today, I do want to acknowledge our sponsors. Once again, Mike Fuller Realty for having us in the studio here today. Yes, thank you, Vanna. And Front Porch Media, Darren Cooper, the man behind the camera. And we appreciate him for what he's doing for us in the podcast. And of course, when I say podcast, it includes YouTube, Facebook video, all of that stuff. We're so glad to have you here. And we're here for you, the BNI member of the Knoxville region. And again, that extends from Crossville to Tri-Cities. So yes, Tri-Cities, we include you in the Knoxville region, no doubt. So we're glad to have you on board with us. And today we want to talk about abundance versus scarcity. Yeah. So let me ask you something, Curtis. Okay. So abundance versus scarcity here. What's the first thing pops into your mind when we want to talk about abundance versus scarcity? What do you automatically think of?
Plymouth Rock, the Pilgrims, and Thanksgiving.
Yes. I knew there was a reason why I brought you on here. Yes, absolutely. So listen, in BNI, we talk a lot about positive, supportive attitude.
Correct.
And so it's no accident that we choose positive terms every time we can.
Sure.
Even when we talk about challenges, which could be called problems, situations, issues, we really should talk about them in terms of opportunity.
Sure. Areas of improvement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Areas for opportunity. So we do this because this builds up positivity. We always want to be building up positivity. And so what happens though when someone feels that there's not enough room for anything more, anybody else? All right.
Like the chapter's full, like we don't need any more members.
Or don't need any more members. That happens.
Yeah.
We've got enough people in this category, or that profession's not open.
Yeah.
Let's do it like this. Rainmaker's chapter sets a great example for abundance.
That's very true.
By inviting visitors, even if the classification of that visitor is already filled.
Really?
Yeah. So, for example, obviously the real estate seat is filled.
Okay.
In that chapter.
Sure.
Yeah, Rob Dancero.
Okay.
And yet, he welcomes when his fellow members bring in other realtors from other real estate firms as visitors to his chapter.
Tell me why.
Well, he understands the value of a visitor and the power of a connection. Now, we're on this real estate vein.
Sure.
It could go anywhere, but let's stay there, all right? As a realtor, Rob understands that he usually is working with another realtor on a deal.
Okay. Yes, makes sense.
Yeah, you've got the listing agent and you've got the buyer's agent.
Right.
I don't know what the percentages are, but I'd say most of the time you probably have two agents on a deal. Sometimes you'll have somebody who buys straight from the listing agent. But personally, I recommend that you have your own agent representing your interests.
I'd agree.
If you're buying a house.
I'd agree.
Rob already knows that there's going to be other agents that he has to work with. Well, wouldn't it be cool if he happens to know that agent already?
Yes. That'd make the transaction go smoother, I would think.
Yeah. Already has that other agent's contact information in his phone.
Yes.
Maybe they've even met for coffee and had a BNI one-to-one with a non-member.
Yeah. Okay.
Just call it coffee if it's a non-member, but if it's a member, call it a one-to-one, okay?
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So he sees the value in making these. It's about connections.
Yes.
Now, let me tell you do you remember back in our energy days, the NRG chapter, Back in our energy days, do you remember when Judy invited the IT guy to come visit the chapter when we already had an IT guy, Jonathan Addington?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and so I was president of the chapter at the time, and I'm like, Judy,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? We already have an IT guy, and I mean, like, hey, I was very protective.
Sure.
Jonathan was my man.
Good member.
Yeah, and a fantastic IT professional. And so I wanted to protect his interests. I'm like, Judy, what are you doing? Bring this. She says, Andy, settle down. You know how Judy is.
Now, Andy.
Just hold your horses. Just back off a minute. Okay. Just let it be. Let it happen.
Right.
Here's the thought there. She said, you never know, but these two IT people might have different
specialties.
Yeah. And I'm like, what? But he does everything IT.
IT.
What are you talking about?
That's right.
Yeah. As it turned out, the second IT guy, he was more focused on what? Residential?
I believe so. Smaller projects.
Yes. Residential. When our first IT guy, he was definitely commercial.
Yeah, definitely going upstream.
Yeah. And so that made a perfect match because there were times when Jonathan's clients would say to him, hey, can you take care of my personal computer at home?
Right.
And I don't know what he would, if he did or didn't, but I'm saying now he's got somebody he can refer to.
Correct. That worked out really well.
Hey, this goes back to saying yes without saying no. You heard me talk about that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Should I say yes?
Say yes without saying no. Hey, Jonathan, can you handle my personal computer at home? Well, actually, Joe handles that.
Right.
Let me get Joe to call you.
Yes.
You see how he said yes without saying no? This is abundance over scarcity.
Got it.
So in your business with Gallagher and Associates, you do security, fire,
correct,
monitoring, access control,
yes,
and all that. Okay, so what if a client says to you, well, what about computer networks? I mean, that's all kind of related in there, isn't it? Don't y'all do that?
I know somebody who does.
Yeah. And another way of saying that is, who's your IT guy in your chapter? Do we have one?
Yes.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yes, you are.
I'm putting you on the spot. I mean, who's your IT guy now?
I'm going to say I don't have one.
Don't have one in your chapter. Okay, so, but I'm sure that you have one of our IT guys within BNI that you could refer.
Oh, yeah.
So he handles that for me. Is it okay if I have him call you?
Perfect.
Yeah. This goes back to abundance over scarcity. I even caught myself saying it today when I was talking to somebody. Well, I don't do IT work. And in my telecommunications business, I specifically don't do IT work.
Right.
That's scarcity. Abundance says, well, Jonathan handles that for me. Can I have him call you?
Yes.
You see the
difference? Sounds much smoother.
It is much smoother
that way. Yeah.
And it's saying yes without saying no. I mean, what kind of feeling comes over your prospect when they say, hey, can you handle my IT network? And you first start out by saying, sorry, I don't do that.
Yeah. It doesn't give the warm fuzzies.
It's a negative.
Yeah.
It brings it down. Okay? So we always want to come out with a positive. But what about that member who invites your competition to come to your chapter? Is this a yes or a no? Is this a bring them on or are you better not?
I would think that if I brought another mold remediation company to visit Energy, where we have one, Zach Tockley, if I were to invite one in, I would purposefully walk them together and say, hey, Zach, this is Tommy.
Yeah.
We met, we started talking, I said this would be good for him. I just thought maybe you guys could talk.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't just bring him in there. I would never bring him if I wasn't there to be able to kind of grease those wheels, kind of like what Debbie did. She brought a guy in and connected them together. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but again, connections are powerful.
Yes. So that's exactly right. There's a protocol to this thing.
Yeah.
There's protocol. So if you're bringing in a competitor to one of your existing members, the first thing you do is call that member. Hey, Zach, I'm going to be bringing in a mold remediation guy to visit our chapter. I think it'd be great for you two to meet. Because to you and me, we're outside that business, that industry.
Yeah.
We think they do the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
We think right down the line they do the same exact thing. But they're in the business. They're in the industry.
They know better.
They know what they like to do and what they don't like to do.
Right.
Sometimes it's residential versus commercial. Sometimes it's large projects versus small projects.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So, there's so many different things. Sometimes it's mold, sometimes it's water.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And we don't know that, but when we bring them together, allow them the opportunity to decide, are we friend or foe?
Right.
And even if it's direct competition, listen, it never hurts to have a good, friendly relationship with your competitor.
I would agree.
It never hurts.
I would agree. Secondary benefit to that is it would help educate us what Zach is looking for. It would help
Absolutely.
educate the chapter, saying, oh, okay, so this is more specifically what Zach does. So he really doesn't want a large commercial job or whatever. He wants more of the high-end homes or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
We then learn more about the member
Absolutely.
in that
So
arena.
that's a great benefit behind bringing more people in.
Right.
Yeah. What about exposing this new person to BNI?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? We're going to bring in this extra person that it looks like they're a competitor with our existing member, but number one, we're going to expose them to BNI.
Right.
Maybe there's an opening in another chapter.
Right.
But you're not a member of the other chapter. You're a member of your chapter. You're bringing him to your
Bring them
chapter.
into ours first.
Yeah.
Then we decide, and then if it doesn't work out, hey, look, there's some other chapters you could take a
Yeah.
look at.
So if this is not a good fit for you here, and you're interested in participation in BNI, well then let us help you find a chapter where we can get you.
Yeah.
What about in the case of the realtor? Now it's not common for us to have an opening for a realtor.
True.
So you're bringing in a residential realtor and showing them the BNI system, and they want to be a participant.
Right.
Now what opportunity does that bring us?
I would think you could put them on a short list of if we ever start up another chapter.
Starting up another chapter.
Oh, I got it right.
That's exactly where I want to go.
Okay, so we could put
Yeah.
them on a short list and then
That's
start up
exactly-
another chapter
Yes.
and then use them.
Put them in contact with someone in leadership.
Yes.
So you brought them, you talked to them, hey, what'd you think about this? Well, yeah, it looks great, but y'all have already got a realtor, residential realtor. That's what I do.
Okay.
If I understand right, there's not room for two of us in one chapter. Yep, okay. Well, now, what about another chapter? How about starting up a chapter? Would you like to talk to
Would you be
somebody
interested in
about
that? There you go.
Would you like to talk to somebody?
Yeah.
Then put them in touch with your director or with me, and we'll get them we'll put them into the right channel. Listen, we're starting up new chapters. We want to start new chapters all over the region.
Of course.
Did you realize we have counties up the I-75 corridor for miles that don't have a BNI chapter?
Really?
Yeah.
Like La Follette?
La Follette doesn't have a chapter.
No kidding.
No kidding. All north of Knoxville, up I-75, we don't have any chapters.
All right.
So how are we going to get a realtor, a financial advisor, an insurance agent, and a mortgage lender interested in BNI so they can go up there and start a new chapter?
Invite them to BNI.
Invite them to a chapter. Yes, invite
Two
them
for
to bring them in. So this gives us good reason to continue to invite. How about this one? You know, we talked in our last podcast episode about Thank You for Closed Business and how those numbers.
Sure did.
Through the Thank You for Closed Business system, we're able to document that an average visitor does business with the members of your chapter
Yes.
to the tune of $1,500 each.
That's right.
On average. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if you brought that realtor to visit your chapter,
Right.
but the realtor needed a plumber?
Yeah.
What if that realtor started making referrals to your plumber?
Right.
Is that taking business away from anybody in your chapter?
It's bringing business.
It's bringing business. It's bringing business. You see, this is abundance. Abundance over scarcity.
Preach, Andy. Preach.
Yes. Yes. Do I have my amen corner? Can I get a hallelujah?
Somewhere.
Yes. Abundance over scarcity. We bring in a visitor, and you may as well be walking around the room handing out $50 bills.
No doubt.
Here's your $50. Here's your $50. Here's your $50 because I brought a visitor today.
Fantastic.
So what if they're not a candidate for membership? Now we get it. There's candidates for membership and there's not candidates for membership.
Of course.
You know, a police officer probably is not looking for referrals to grow his business.
Probably not.
Probably not. But, you know, if you want to bring a police officer and say, hey, look, I want to introduce you to some people.
Yes.
Hey, I don't know what's going on in your life, but you never know. Some of these people might be proved to be valuable to you.
He may be wanting to start a business.
He may be wanting to start a business. He may be getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
He might need a financial advisor. He might need a business coach. He might need a banker. He might need a bookkeeper, a CPA.
We've got them all. That's right.
It's all that we're bringing people in.
Yeah.
So as we come to the end of this episode, I just want to remind all our members, okay? Our doors are open to visitors, but we don't take walk-ins. So register your visitors. But what if that visitor is representing the same profession as another member in your chapter? We have a protocol, right?
Yeah.
And the protocol is number one, reach out.
Yes.
Reach out to your fellow member. Hey, I'm going to bring somebody in. They're in the same profession as you. I don't know if they do the same thing as you or not. Doesn't matter. I'm bringing them. I'm going to introduce them to you.
They want to come. We're going to put you together. You guys can talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you get there, be on the lookout for your visitor.
Right.
Text them that morning. Hey, are you there yet? Are you here yet?
Yep.
It's better here rather than there. Are you here yet? Yeah. You know,
That's funny.
Make it sound like you're there anyway.
That's right.
And then take and introduce them, right?
Yes.
And then introduce them to their contact sphere, and then let them explain to them that, hey, look, you can do business with any and all of these people. I know them all.
Right.
And if you need to know anything about, you know, I can fill you in on what I know about them. Yeah?
Absolutely.
So invite. Bring them in. There's room for them. And listen, if there's not room for them in your chapter, that's cool. We can put them in another chapter, or we can start a new chapter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Got places all over we want to do that.
I love it.
Listen, we've got the U.S. National Conference coming up.
Yes.
Yes,
Good
March the
stuff.
26th through the 28th in Denver, Colorado. And this is open to all members. Now, they do have specific days and times for members, but it's open all 3 days for directors and for directors and above. Pretty much everybody above that's a director. So we encourage our members to take a look at that. If you're on the regional team and you're aspiring to become a director, or maybe you're already a director and you need to repeat your director's training, that's a requirement every 5 years for directors. You probably didn't know that.
I did not know that.
It is a requirement. That training is available during the week of the national conference, the days prior. So you get there Monday instead of getting there Thursday.
Okay.
If you're going to do that. So that's available for anybody in that. And member extravaganza is right around the corner.
That sounds exciting.
April through May. Don't forget about that cruise. We want to give everybody a chance. And listen, this is the last week of the month. We're planning on dropping this episode on February the 25th. I just want to remind you, submit your closed business. And it's leap year. Saturday is the 29th of February.
Extra day.
You got an extra day to submit your thank you for closed business. Just remember to do that. Set up a system on getting that done. Curtis, thanks again for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Andy Brassfield with BNI, along with Curtis Johnston of Gallagher & Associates. We're signing off. See you next time.